Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Wednesday BOCC afternoon meeting. We have Public Works on the agenda. It's your day.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Savannah Clement, Public Services. I gave my agenda away, so I'm just going to grab my other one. So we just have some facilities updates. This is a little bit of a rollover from last week. We went over a little bit in our meeting. So this may be familiar, at least topic-wise. So we just wanted to give an update on facility needs. We have scheduled the first meeting of 2024 with that group. It will be at the end of March. We're excited. We have a lot to share with the group as far as things that the team has done to check off our list, which included some tours, Commissioner Dahl getting some funding information for us. We've had meetings with USDA and David Hodges, our lobbyist, on some funding opportunities. So we're pretty excited to share that with the group and then share with the board their feedback. So that's just a status update. And then the second item to discuss is the HOJ space allocation. So the board's probably aware that we've been working with OPD on trying to secure space. We're actually meeting tomorrow with the PA's office, the sheriff's office, and Ian with OPD to try to discuss first floor space options and then go from there. So maybe we'll have an update on that also next week. The other item that actually isn't on here is the 911 lease agreement. So we have been tasked with working on a lease agreement with 911, separate from an IT agreement, which Kim Hort is working on. And what that pretty much is just a lease agreement that says what space they can utilize at the hall, which is their secondary location as a backup. They have 4 stations there. They have a small server room. So we did a tour with their team. So John Diamond, the director there, and Don Turrentine, their IT manager. That was, I think, last week, the beginning of last week. So we have some updates on that. Once we get more fine-tuned with the lease, we'll bring it back to the board to review. But nothing super exciting, just letting you guys know that we've been working on that. We've met with their team and we're moving forward. Questions on that?
Yes, I've been a little curious about the interplay between 911 and emergency services. For years, they've been co-located because of the obvious sense of having, during an emergency, the meeting space that's available, and yet it's communications is really central to good emergency preparedness. Since they've moved to their own headquarters, is there any thought being given as to a more appropriate space allocation if we lease space from them at their headquarters for our Department of Emergency Services?
No, and not in the conversations that I've been involved in, nor do I know that they have space to lease us at their facility. So we did do the facility tour at their location with them. And from what, although it's a gorgeous facility, it could be our conference center. It's that nice. But they don't have a ton of office space. They have a conference room. That really would be the only space large enough to like house 3 more staff, two to 3 more staff. But that's not to say that we can't, discuss that with them. We did look at server space opportunities there with them. They have a really awesome state-of-the-art server room, and they were willing to kind of allow us use of that as well as a secondary location. So I think there's opportunities there to kind of move forward in those discussions, but I can definitely bring that up with them for sure as we move forward.
My understanding had been the original design was to have space in case DEM decides to come over. And it's kind of, who takes the first step? Do we need to make that decision that it makes sense to have those 2 facilities adjacent to each other?
Yeah. I think we'd have to verify, but I don't think they have any. I think they've utilized pretty much even in the new building, but I'd have to verify. And I just from sitting in the meetings and listening to them talk, I think they've utilized about everything there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was going to say
That's a
during
good
our
point.
meeting, I think John did add on that, and I think you are correct. That was maybe an original plan, and then they trimmed the building down a little bit. And like Savannah said, the space is really full now. But I think you're correct. That was the original idea and it didn't transpire.
Okay. Well, we haven't really had an emergency to figure out what the glitches will be when it happens and they're still at their building. I understand having a fallback position over, over at our Hall of Justice, but, okay, I thought there was more room there, so.
Commissioner Weber, would you like me to bring that up as a talking point? I mean,
Well, actually, I'm not the one to make the decision. We kind of need two of us to be okay of at least looking into it.
Well, I don't think it hurts to ask John and see what their position on it. I think Will's probably right. They might have toned that building down some with all the stuff they had. It may not have room, but doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Well, they tend to be the expert in communications and emergencies. So, I mean, if they don't see there's a value in co-locating, I guess the answer is pretty slim. It's just that, what was the main reason for them leaving that building? Because it was underwater, the level of the river, right?
mhm.
Well, so is our emergency management service. So if the logic is they need to be above water, so it should be for emergency management. So, anyway, there's a feeling I have that the building took so long to build, lots of delays in it, that this concept kind of got lost in the shuffle. Because John's the third director and was not one
Right.
of the original directors. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
those things kind of happen and, anyway, you might want to bring it up as a discussion to say if there's an interest.
Sure.
Kind of pointing out, the reasons for the move and what about communicating with an underwater emergency management program?
Yeah, how tough that would be.
Might be a
Okay.
difficulty.
I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I see him before, I think I have a meeting coming up maybe next Wednesday or the following Wednesday, one of the two.
All right. Anything else for you? Thank you.
So the space you were thinking of for the OPD is the back hallway on that first floor behind the sheriff or the records, law
So
enforcement records?
right
or-
now, we're meeting with those individuals to do another tour and take a walk through a potential space and what they think would work out between those three. So there's not, we have space there. We just need to know how they feel about moving it. So we haven't really gotten that far as back hallway use or anything like that.
Yeah.
We have ideas. We just.
Yeah. Because I think the last time we had a discussion, it's more along the lines of, we're pretty sure there's room there. How do you want to configure it to bring
Correct.
this OPD? in?
Right,
Not if you want OPD there.
right. How do we make
Yeah.
this work?
How do you make it happen? How do we
Yeah.
make it?
How to make
Yeah,
it
how do you
happen.
make
They're going there. Where's the best location?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
But hopefully we'll have an update next week. Fingers crossed.
So, facilities needs, I wanted to bring up another area. We have been we have been approached by the chaplaincy about helping them acquire some office space. And Kathy's been trying to figure out how it could be funded because it depends on what the use is for. Typically, the chaplaincy isn't something that's government funded. But they have the building right adjacent to the parking lot at the fairgrounds. That used to be the child daycare center. So it's at the north end of the parking lot.
Okay. Is it the
It's kind
Cougar
of- There's a
Cottage?
daylight basement and an upstairs. The driveway is up to the main
Okay.
floor, but the basement is open to the parking lot level.
Oh, yes,
And then there are a couple of big storage garages, buildings
yes.
on that property. And one of the things is to perhaps, if it meets our needs, allocate that daylight basement for a respite center for first responders that would qualify for ARPA funds if we have any left over. This main floor, they would need to pay rent as the chaplaincy office. It's the back storage buildings, the huge garage and a storage center. Is there a need for storage space that could then meet? And the chaplaincy could then manage the whole building for us? I keep hearing that they're running out of space for this, that, and the other thing. Whether the sheriff has room for storing vehicles or,
Right.
um,
Yeah, I think that the short answer is there's always probably going to be that need, and the sheriff's comes to mind first, but that's not to say that other departments may not have additional needs. But yeah.
that'd be
I
one of
can-
those ways to kind of leverage the opportunity and help them out. They don't need that whole thing, but
Yeah.
depends on how we divide up an arrangement with them.
And yeah, I'm not sure, the square footage of space that they've been looking for, or like what size they would need, so. But they're looking, it sounds like what you're saying is to find and purchase a building, right? Okay.
They were looking at it and they were asking if we could help. The last I heard through Gina is it didn't sound like we had a program that they could do much with, but
Mhm.
I don't know if we restructure it or whatnot, how it all works. But
So the respite site is something that we tried at the A-frame,
Mm-hmm.
wherever it is over there. And, so it's something that's used in case of high stress situation, where people just need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And that daylight basement might be appropriate for that. I mean, and that could be a legitimate government use for first responders respite. And then storage is another use that we could use that would justify acquiring that property and then renting the top floor out for the chaplaincy if that meets their needs.
Yeah, it's something we could look into. I can work with Kathy on that, at least touch base.
If you're okay with going forward with that, it's funding is, where do we get the money though? That's
yeah,
always the issue.
I'll always listen to ideas and if they make sense, we can make it work. But I know they're wanting about 600 grand for that over there, so.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Will. So next we have a parks update. Alyssa's not here today, but we did do a tour of Hog Island a couple weeks ago. Went and looked at the site, kind of addressed some of the low-hanging fruit that we could tackle now, and then maybe long-term planning. So things we're looking at doing up there, as cleaning up the brush would be the first thing. And unfortunately, it's been used as kind of a dump site over the years. It's unfortunate, yeah, over the bank there. So cleaning that up, putting in some, not chip seal, but some rock for a parking area. And then, moving forward in what the board would like to do with that area. I'm under the impression that we don't own the island. We only own the bank. So we'll need to do some more research on that, where we have our survey team kind of looking into that.
Is that island owned by DNR then?
I
or
believe so. That's what
DNR?
we think.
Okay.
But we do know historically there was a bridge there, right, connecting the two. So we weren't quite sure how that worked, but we've been kind of just ballparking some cost estimates for bridge. And then what we'll do is likely bring that to the board,
Like a walk bridge.
like a walking
pedestrian.
bridge. Yeah. Just from observation, I am no expert, but it's a pretty swift moving area on both sides
It's
there.
pretty quick moving right through there.
Yeah, I don't know that it could be utilized as like a swimming hole or anything. I probably wouldn't personally bring my kids
the
there to
guy-
swim.
Up north of it, actually I'm assuming it's a generator and he puts down in and it spins it. And I think he
Oh.
produces some electricity out because
Oh,
Because
wow.
it's flowing so fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the side channel, or is it up in the mainstream?
Well, it's up north. There's a little place up north and you can look out on the river and you see he has a little
wow.
thing in there. And I assume he's generating some power out of there.
I'm assuming he's got the permits too. I never know about that.
Who
Not
knows?
turning anybody in.
Yeah.
I'm just,
But,
It's
right,
not a
it's,
county,
I'm
it's
just
not a county
illustrating
permit,
it,
so
that
yeah.
It's
it is
quick.
Quick move.
it's quick. So,
Yeah.
anyway, just to let you guys know that we have been out there, we're kind of assessing some of the easier things we can tackle. It is a county park, and then kind of go from there with any updates we have. So,
Well, I think that over time that'll probably get used more and more. Like I said, there's been a couple gals that come up and been doing a lot of cleaning there and
oh,
they have a up Casey, because it's right across from Casey Road.
Yes.
And they have like that 25 house development and stuff. So you're going to have more families up in here. So I think it's going to be something that'll be utilized.
Especially if they're able to park down there and they can
Yeah.
walk down. So that's what we're hoping to do now. And
Is there
then,
enough room for restroom?
so we're
area?
looking at putting in, actually, that would be like our next tier after we get kind of the stuff that we can get done internally is looking at a pit toilet, similar to what we're doing at Kellyman.
Close to the water, so that is always a little problematic.
Yeah, we would probably have to utilize what's like the parking area, take a section of that and do it where you can see it from the road too. That'll help prevent or deter, some of the issues we have.
And either locals built or when it was initially done, there is a boat ramp that people use to get.
There
down
is
into the
a
water.
makeshift, boat ramp
Yeah.
that people,
So mostly used as a fishing.
that's
you
what
know,
that's what I
I would
think.
think so.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my intent or what I'd heard.
Okay.
So,
So more to come on that.
Okay.
And then Public Works.
Susan, did we ever get any clarification on the dreaded bicycle dust impact statement issue?
The tire issue,
Tire dust.
the
yes.
tire dust, we have not gotten, well, do you mean on our particular project or what ecology is going to make us do in the long run?
Well, since the particular project requires some decision before the end of this year.
I have not gotten a final decision on that project yet. I think they're waiting on us to finish our right-of-way acquisition, and then they'll give us the final decision.
Because the more I thought about it, where is the dust going to be? It's new pavement. That's what makes it so incredibly
It's,
ridiculous.
yes, it's new pavement and it's not new driving surface.
Yeah.
So that,
Plus, it's all part of the Six Rivers bike network that we're trying to develop over time. So.
yes, so
um,
I will let you
I-
know when I know.
I've heard sometimes just saying no.
Yeah.
Make them justify why it's needed.
Why it's needed, especially
On brand
because
new pavement.
I think I tried that yesterday.
Yeah, well,
especially because the science isn't fleshed out yet. It's too new. They're not 100% sure what treatment you're going to need to do. And so there's no clear ecology says this is what you need to do to treat it. So I
oh no,
can't
you
even-
mean it's one of those, we'll know it's successful when we see it.
Yes.
Otherwise, we don't want to prove anything.
So
Well, I guess we can reallocate that money.
I'm
I'm
being
sorry, I'm being a
optimistic.
little pessimistic with a bunch of sarcasm stuck in, sorry.
Mhm.
So I wanted to give you a little update from last night's open house. So last night was our ADA accessible transition plan, our open house. So we did have not approximately, we had 6 attendees to discuss our opening. Right now, we're in the phase of gathering data and analyzing our existing sidewalks and ramps. And our survey opened up last night. So there's an online survey that people can fill out and talk about their needs on our sidewalk system within the unincorporated area of the county. Well, next steps moving forward, we're analyzing our sidewalks, where we have areas that don't meet current ADA standards, and we're going to create a plan based on the priorities from the survey of which areas we should tackle first, which ramps.
This is the open house at Lexington School or was that
We
at
had
your
it at the
office?
Expo Center.
At the Expo Center. okay.
Yes. And so we'll have a follow-up open house in May to discuss the results of our sidewalks survey and the actual survey, and have people agree or disagree with how we're prioritizing our solutions.
You had 6 show up.
Yes,
How many were not family members?
none of them were related to me. There, There were people from, two representatives from COG, one from the city of Longview, Transit, a city of Longview, I can't remember, they have a bike pedestrian volunteer group. One of those members showed up, and I can't remember which department she was from or which agency she's from. That's a statewide agency that deals with elderly homebound people. So it was mainly staff people, no one from the community.
Anybody with disabilities?
No one with disabilities, unfortunately. The person from Transit was their disability coordinator, so she has some good information that she's going to share out with us about, because they know, let's say, the stop on Sparks Drive, they get 2 handicap pickups a day. So she can share that kind of information with us. So she's going to reach out and have that information for us.
In fact, the transit company has made a change in how far away from the fixed routes that they will do the dial ride service for those with disabilities. So not only the regular fixed stop buses where they kneel down and help them, but they'll actually go to the people's homes
Yes.
within a mile. It used to be just a quarter of a mile or something, half a
Okay.
mile, and then they've extended it.
So that was last night, so there'll be more to come on that. And then,
There was interesting, slightly related to this. There has been ongoing discussion in the legislature with legislation that would affect local zoning laws, that so many feet within a fixed bus route cannot be restricted to single-family homes.
okay,
And, it's like, local control doesn't matter. And basically the answer is no. If we decide in Olympia, we want multiple homes along bus routes, we'll tell you. So that would make a dramatic difference, I think, on development.
yes.
High-rise
That
bird
happens, huh?
cages,
Huh?
high-rise bird cages.
Yes. Seattle values. Castle Rock, I don't get it.
I could hardly get through Castle Rock. I'm gonna complain to the mayor the
Well,
next
they've
time
got-
I'm out there.
They've got that bridge construction still going on, don't
Well,
they?
They had so many smelters that
Oh.
it shut down the
Oh.
light.
Yeah.
Shut down the light. It did. It shut down. It couldn't keep up. So they had people out
I
there.
was going to ask if you were there with the smelters.
Smelt dippers, okay, yeah. I was thinking,
We
burning
became,
coke?
we became a city of 5,000
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah. Pretty nice. Of course, you do know that within a month, there will be a call from the district court's office for translators. Because that's when the tickets have to be levied and
yeah.
adjudged, and there's a fair number of folks who speak English as a second language that get tickets.
Yeah.
Okay, bird walking done for now.
So I wanted to bring back the clear zone inventory agreement that we talked about last week, since I was not fully prepared last week. So I've worked with the project manager to get some more information for you guys. So the purpose of this is to identify the objects in the clear zone that could be hazards to drivers. So the clear zone is the unobstructed, relatively flat area beyond the edge of the traveled way that allows a driver to stop safely or regain control of a vehicle that leaves the traveled way. So that's the official definition by WashDOT. So this includes, so by traveled way, they mean on most roads, the fog line. So it includes your paved shoulder, your gravelled shoulder, and everything beyond that. On a 35-mile-per-hour road, it's a set distance. So a recoverable slope within that area is considered anything flatter than 4 to 1, or 1 to 4, in which way, horizontal to vertical. So it's a fairly flat, it's, so that's, you can recover, come to a stop, or be able to get yourself back on the road.
Is that 25% slope? Is that, did I
Yes.
do my math right?
So This contract was for $135,000. It's collecting data, using 9 high-resolution cameras, and the images that we will receive images, LiDAR, and a database of all the obstructions. Anything that's within 50 feet of the center line and is greater than a 4x4 post, so basically a mailbox post or a sign post, or has a diameter greater than 4 inches, which is approximately the size of a grapefruit. I always need visuals, so I figured make it easier for you guys. So as this information is being collected as safety data by federal code, if it's safety data that is gathered by Public Works or the sheriff's office, it is not discoverable by the public and cannot be used in court against us. So that was one of the questions you guys had about who could see this data. So we can use it, the sheriff's department, we at being Public Works and the sheriff's department can use it as safety data. Once we have this data, we will use it to help update our local road safety plan. And the local road safety plan is what we use to obtain grants. Having the LiDAR data will allow us for areas that we know are issues to be able to do a quick preliminary design, because we'll have topo, we'll have what's out there, and it will give us a better cost estimates. We have applied for a couple grants through our local road safety plan that we have not received because we haven't had enough information on what we were going to do. For example, we've been looking at trying to get a safety project out on Nevada because of the speeding and things of that nature. So having this data will make us better prepared for applying for grants in areas that we know are issues, because we'll already have the data. I will not have to send the survey crew or inspectors out to gather preliminary data, so we'll keep people off the roads also.
All you have to do on Nevada Drive is 3 roundabouts. That'll slow people down.
That would slow people down, but I would have to be sick for the 6 months coming into it, so I wouldn't be here for the public hearings.
Monday at the Woodland Council, you talked roundabouts. So they had the firm in that we're kind of funding to kind of give everybody an update, and it showed the 2 different things they had for exit 21, and one of them involved 3 roundabouts. That always spurs
Oh,
along.
yeah, it does. 3 roundabouts.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, this kind of stuff, if we get to keep it local and it just helps us, I think it's probably good stuff. What always concerns me, like they're going through buildings now, government buildings, and they're taking assessments on energy efficiency, and at certain points in time, they're going to expect us to do stuff to them. And so that's always my concern, is at what point in time do they say, well, now you need to start fixing this and find the dollar somewhere. If we get to use it just for our plan, and we know we can line out what we work in, I don't usually have an issue with that. I hate when the state takes over.
Yes, but this is our data and we don't have to share it with the state.
So with the LiDAR data, is it just pictures, or is it a live camera of the survey itself?
So they take still photos along the route, and then they'll translate it into a topography for us for the LiDAR data. And we will have both the pictures and the topography will be
Okay.
given to us.
Okay. Sounds
And
like it'll be
the other
usable.
concern was if somebody has an issue and then they say, well, this has been a bad deal, but it sounds like because of the way this is done, we're protected under a statute or
Yes.
federal statute.
Yes.
Although,
You can't
If-
stop people from suing, but
well, I mean, that's true, but if as we identify the hazards, if we develop a plan to work towards addressing them, that's the cover that we have in a court. We're making a plan. We can't do everything all at once.
right.
I know that's how the cities operate with sidewalks. They don't have the resources to do all the sidewalks at once, but as long as they're working on it and according to a plan, then the courts
Yep.
say, well, not, yeah, you can't be liable.
Which is part of this ADA transition plan that we know, we've identified our problems. We review it every year. And so that we have a plan and we're doing something appreciable that we, if we have 500 spots and we're taking care of 20 a year because that's all the money we have, we're doing something to correct our issues.
So are you pretty comfortable that it's just going to identify stuff that you've already kind of identified? It's just not going to add where you look at it and go, well, that's nonsense.
No, it's not going to be, that's nonsense. It might help better define. There's a couple other, besides the Nevada Drive, there's a couple intersections that we know of that this information would help us to put it into the safety plans to be finding funding. I know Oak Point
Yeah.
is an issue, and we have a couple others that we have issues with.
All right. Thank you for getting that background information.
You're welcome. Sorry I was not better prepared last week.
Well, Commissioner Morten's is not here today, so you're gonna have to explain it again.
Yes,
Yeah,
I will.
okay.
This was an agreement, so did you still need us to say yay or did we say yay last time?
No, this was, last time I came to ask if you wanted on the motion or consent agenda. And so we started talking about it. So now that you guys feel more comfortable with it, I'll ask Kelly to put it back onto the agenda for next week.
Are you okay with having it on next week?
Yeah, I saw it on the preliminary. It's on as a consent item next week. So
Yeah,
Yep.
no problem. Okay.
that's why I said you're gonna have to explain it to. Commissioner
Yes.
Morton.
We should have an opportunity on Monday as well to discuss it. So we'll do that.
Mean we have to listen to it twice?
What's that?
We have to listen to it twice?
Sorry. Yeah,
I'll talk faster next time.
don't do that. Okay, so the next item I have is kind of more of a purchasing item, not so much public works, although I'm sure we'll utilize it. And we're going to bring forward on Tuesday a real estate contract. This is a contract we went out to bid back in August, request for proposals back in August. We had respondent, and we would like to execute the contract next week. The contract is a 1-year agreement with a real estate firm. It's Woodford, so Woodford Commercial, excuse me. I'm not sure if Ashley's on the line. She may not be, and that's okay, but if there's further questions, I may need to rely on her. It can be utilized by anybody in the county, and that's for, by that I mean Cowlitz County employee. And we can utilize it to sell property. We can utilize them for consulting services if we're looking to purchase property. When we're talking about OPD and lease space, they can help us procure additional lease space and negotiate on our behalf. So that contract will be on Tuesday. Again, it's only for 1 year. However, if the board chooses to do so, they can do 1-year extensions up to 5 years. Their rate is 5%, so which is pretty normal, we think, and $150 an hour if we choose them for consulting. So if we choose to utilize their services from a consulting lens. I think that's all I had. Did I hit everything?
I was gonna share one thing from you because this kind of stuff always cracks me up. WashDOT, as rules get more and you try to keep up and follow all the rules, they realize it's getting complicated. So their solution to it is not peel back the rules. It's to create a new position, an environmental liaison position that will help people get through the process. So we're gonna have new state employees to help us get through the process.
So not only do we
Maybe
have
I'm
to
the
deal
only one
with,
that finds that stuff humorous, but I just go, oh my gosh.
but it means not only do we have to deal with Department of Ecology,
Mm-hmm.
but the WashDOT's own ecologists.
Yeah,
What if they disagree?
because it's gotten so complicated now, they need to have special employees to help you get through it.
I know, what will we do without tire dust?
Hovercrafts, jetpacks.
Wind disruption,
Well, that's
Noise,
fossil fuel.
there,
Can't use
can't have
jetpack.
that.
And we can't go back to horses because, that's methane.
Methane, yeah.
And I'm gonna build me something that runs off methane. I'm just gonna be a rebel.
Fred Flintstone always had the right way.
Oh, there we go. Toughen up our feet.
That's all we have today, unless the board has anything else.
I don't think so.
I heard in the radio this morning, reviewing legislation affecting Cowlitz County, there was funding for the landfill methane conversion. There was a request made and apparently that's in the capital budget.
And
Have you
yes,
heard
that's
that?
yeah, that's the current project we're working with.
Right,
P-
right.
Yes. Mhm.
So we don't have to pay as much. As much.
As-
Would you like Sean to come up and, or not?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll switch out.
What was the?
Fine.
I think I remember seeing a figure of 5 million,
Yeah, I believe it's around 4.8 and some change there.
something like that.
Yeah, the PUD's been legislating for that. And, they are bearing the brunt of the cost of the project. We're just paying a small portion of that currently if we continue on with our negotiations. But it's a great move forward for the landfill if it
Mhm.
comes to
Yeah.
fruition.
So sounds like it's more for PUD's benefit.
That's so our portion won't increase.
Our,
Exactly.
That's
That's a good way to look
so
at it.
look
that's
at it.
probably a better way to put it, yeah.
Afraid of that.
Our portion will stay where it's at.
Because I don't think we actually ever, we didn't really submit any requests, did we?
No, we
I
didn't.
know you didn't go with the Joel, not Joel, Josh Weiss. No, this
Yeah.
not this year.
But that's good though. I think that's a good project and so whatever side of the ledger gets a little help on there, I think it pays.
Well, if they're willing to fund that, then they must not be interested in removing food from the waste stream.
So actually this year,
Hmm?
currently it's passing House Bill 2301, which was amending 1799 from last year.
Mhm.
It's taken away some of the exemptions on the food waste programs.
Mhm.
And so I believe it's actually affecting the city of Longview now.
Oh,
With their divert
With
project?
with a residential food waste collection program. They,
That's the divert thing.
yeah, so they, under the new regulations, I believe they are required to collect residential food waste if it passes and signed by the governor.
That they,
wow. So that would put a burden on the cities for sure.
There still are exemption packets and things like that that you can apply for.
Mhm,
Currently, the county's not affected by that new legislation, so
mhm.
you never know what happens next year, though.
Yeah.
Well, I fully expect divert to be producing stuff that will end up in our landfill. We're the fallback position for.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their waste product's gonna look like. I haven't heard much on that, so that'll be something to see in the future for sure.
Mhm. It's after they've extracted whatever they can to produce electricity.
Yeah.
We get the leftovers.
I'm just teasing, of course, but can I tell them that it might raise their transfer rates? Just so I can see the face.
But last week we heard that wonderful presentation from the stormwater treatment plant.
Yeah, I thought it was great. and
They
We're
expanded
the
their
only
co-
ones that got to hear it.
They expanded their capacity, are making a profit.
Yeah.
And they're they're turning it right over to rate reduction.
You know, and
It's
I,
it's kind of similar to a process we might have with the landfill. Except they're doing their own bonding and our bonds go through the general fund.
yeah. Well, and they actually have room there to even do more because their whole payment of the bond was predicated on cost reduction from the new equipment. It wasn't predicated on the retail value of the new pellets. They haven't even
Yeah.
factored that in.
Mhm.
And those can have some retail value, so it could be even better for that area.
So last year, when Jim Mallett made his presentation to us on his project, he had mentioned that part of his long-range plan is that we would acquire a facility that would reduce the waste product into the biosolids that pass muster,
Yeah, pass all standards.
What's the difference between what the treatment plant is producing and what Jim needs? Is it the same or is it as refined? That may be something we need to
Yeah,
kind
the
of
way I
figure out.
understand it, it'd probably be the same
If it's
product.
if that's the manufacturing facility for the raw material, we, we don't have to duplicate it.
Well, I think you're right. At very least, it deserves a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who does, that wouldn't go to you. That's
That's
the
a our thing now.
That's Kelly, right?
That's an our thing now.
Something to be looking into, I think.
No, I agree. Okay. Appreciate your time. Other than that, I was just gonna tell you, if you like looking through capital budget stuff, that's all capital budget,
Mhm.
and you're welcome to take that and go to sleep on it. And then,
Go to sleep or put me to sleep.
Yeah, it'll
Which,
be that.
yeah.
and then we had, the Wasatch sent us out because, and I know you got the Washington State Bar Association Board of Governors is looking at changing, into defense that would cost the county money. And they've drafted, you probably saw the letter that Wasatch drafted. Okay.
Mhm.
Are we all good with that? Did we want to, we have the ability to draft our own too if we want to, but
Well,
this looks pretty substantive. It
It's
covers-
good. And I don't mind joining in with Wasac, but it is helpful when individual counties have their logo on a similar type, one that's tailored to our needs, especially for our 6 legislators. So I think we still should develop one from our perspective, which isn't gonna be much different, just the numbers. And Ian, I suppose, is,
I think we had a draft one. Somebody, was it Kathy sent out a draft one? So we can
Yeah,
do that if
yeah,
you're
okay.
agreeing with that.
I think we should still do
Look
that.
at that. This is basically telling counties how many more public defenders and staff and stuff they have to have. Yeah.
So,
And by 2028? In that time frame.
so we already had
At our cost.
we already had case limits on public defenders. And apparently they're gonna shrink it
They're thinking.
by
there's-
about a
yeah.
third.
Yeah,
So a third of the cost, third more public defenders. That cost just comes out of our general fund because the state
Yeah.
says, yes, it's the state problem and you're state agents and it's your job to take care of it. And,
and
Yeah.
that's kind of what the letter is about, is kind of going over the history that it was a state funded thing and then it's been shifted to the counties and now you're asking more and with no additional funds to cover it, and how are we going to cover it?
the level of state support for
Transfer
public,
fees to the city going up again, I can see it.
the level of state support for public defense in Washington State. Last time I saw the listing, we rank right around Mississippi and Alabama. And most other states contribute a lot more. But we know how justice works in Alabama and Mississippi.
That's all I had. So we'll work on that letter, okay. Hopefully it'll be good. 'Cause Commissioner Mortensen will be out till Monday, right? But you can probably DocuSign him if you want his signature, okay. All right.
So, the issue with Hog Island was brought to my attention by Gail Eigner.
Yeah, she
Remember
lives,
Gail?
she lives up from there, yeah.
So I'm wondering if we might want to let her know what we're at least looking at. Do you know that name? I don't know if she's contacted the department.
She lives almost up to well, right after the bridge that goes over the tracks, when you're headed north on towards, Vader. Bridge goes over the tracks and swings around and she lives right in that area. Not right by Hog Island.
EG.
I was just gonna ask.
EGNER, I think.
EIGER.
EIG,
Gail.
EIG. Egner.
Eg-
Gail.
Egner, maybe. you're
Egner,
right.
Eigner.
I don't know.
Okay.
What-
Yeah, if we can
what
send
was
her a
your
letter
question?
even.
She said, when are you gonna do something to restore fishing? So
Oh, I see.
in her very subtle and diplomatic way that she
Well,
has.
Gail's kind of direct, yeah. Anything else?
I don't have anything. Do you have anything? All right.
Okay. We will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.